Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel, and in this video we're going to talk about the latest news in the ongoing legal battle between Dean Guitars and Gibson Guitars. So what's going on here is that a while back, the outcome of the big lawsuit and everything between Gibson and Dean, that basically stipulated that Dean Guitars had to stop advertising, they had to stop selling, producing, and advertising particular models. And it was like the Flying V or Explorer type guitars that Dean had been making for a long time. So what happened was Dean Guitars was very slow in removing these models from their website. And because of that, Gibson then claims that Dean was in contempt of court because it's like, hey, the court ordered you to stop advertising these models and yet you still have them on the website. So Gibson went to the court and complained about this, and so now the court has made a decision and we have an outcome about that complaint, and it is more bad news for Dean Guitars. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. I've got an article up here from guitar.com which explains everything, but as always, real quick guys, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool new guitars and also staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's go ahead, go over here to guitar.com and take a look at this. So here is the headline. Dean found in civil contempt for ignoring trademark ruling. Dean Guitars' parent company, Armadillo, has been found to be in civil contempt for failing to stop advertising several of its guitars after the designs were found to infringe on Gibson's trademarks. In June 2022, Armadillo was ordered by a court to cease the manufacture and advertisement of a number of Dean and Luna guitars. Following the landmark ruling, Gibson alleged that Dean was in civil contempt for not removing its V and Z guitars from its website. The judge presiding over the case, Amos Mazant, has agreed with Gibson's initial complaint, stating that Armadillo is in civil contempt for listing the Dean V and Z guitars for sale on its website, and Gibson should be awarded compensatory damages. In its response to Gibson's initial complaint, Armadillo alluded to the turbulent shift in leadership that occurred around the same time as the trademark ruling, implying that this made it difficult to remove the guitars from its website. But this was not enough to convince the court. As Mazant put it, Armadillo's good faith is not a defense for its failure to comply. Now, if you're not familiar, what they're talking about there is right around when all this stuff was going on, all these legal troubles between Dean Guitars and Gibson Guitars, the former CEO of Dean Guitars was sort of ousted from the company. This was Evan Rubinson, who is the son of the former CEO, Elliot, who had passed away several years ago. And there was a bunch of internal problems at Dean, and basically Evan kind of got booted out of the company as CEO, and there's even ongoing legal battles between him and I believe his mother, who is now acting CEO. It's a very complicated situation. But that's what they were talking about. They're saying like, hey, we've had all these troubles, internal problems and trouble with the management and so forth, and it was because of that we couldn't update the website, which to me that seems like a big stretch. Updating websites should not be super difficult, but that was what they said, and the judge was like, no, that's not valid. Anyway, so this goes on here. The ruling is not an out-and-out victory for Gibson, as it was seeking both coercive and compensatory sanctions against Armadillo. In other words, fines that encourage Armadillo to comply, and fines that make up Gibson's losses due to Armadillo's non-compliance, respectively. Judge Mazant has only granted compensatory sanctions, writing, "There is no dispute that Armadillo has changed its problematic conduct after the filing of Gibson's motion. Accordingly, coercive sanctions would not necessarily serve their intended purpose in this case, and the court will not impose them. Because of this, Gibson must now demonstrate to the court the financial impact of Armadillo's conduct." The ruling follows the court denying another request from Gibson to find Armadillo in contempt of court. While initially it appeared as if all claims of contempt had been dismissed, it now seems that only Gibson's second round of complaints were denied in November of last year. Okay, so in some ways this is kind of similar to the initial lawsuit in that Gibson did not get everything that they were trying to get, but it was still kind of a win for Gibson because if you recall, from this initial lawsuit, Gibson was saying, hey, you know, Dean has been infringing on our trademarks, and the court found that, yeah, Dean Guitars had been infringing on Gibson's trademarks, but the amount of damages that they awarded Gibson was very, very low compared to what Gibson was initially seeking. So altogether here, I mean, this is not a huge deal breaker for Dean Guitars because honestly, Dean Guitars was already in a lot of trouble, and this is just a little bit more trouble, right? So I don't think this is going to make a huge difference, but just the big overall thing here is that Dean Guitars is quickly building up a reputation for, number one, losing court cases, and number two, just not having their act together. I mean, realistically, it should take 5 minutes or so to update a website, maybe less. If Dean Guitars is having trouble with that, you know, they could hire me to do it, right? For a fee, I'd be happy to do it. So even if, you know, they fired IT people or something like that, I don't really think there's much of an excuse for being so slow in updating their website, which was, you know, it was a required part of that initial court ruling to take down all those things so they weren't actively advertising the guitars. Okay, guys, but what do you think about this latest problem between Dean and Gibson? Of course, I always want to hear what you guys think about it. Let me know down in the comments section below. Now, as usual, I'm going to have a link to the original article that is on guitar.com. I'll put a link to that down in the video description below. And guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will have all kinds of links and fun stuff along with the article down in the video description. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you very soon.